I mean, and what we're doing with the oil sector is that we also don't have any input in the oil sector. Truth be told, look, in 1993, Abacha signed what they call PSCs, production sharing contracts with some of these oil companies, all right, in 1993. And there were two conditions. They said, number one, that that contract will be reviewed if ever the crude oil went beyond $20 in terms of price. As at that time, the crude oil was selling at $9, $10, $11. Perhaps they never thought that crude oil would sell for more than $20. As we're speaking, crude oil is on $70-something. Nobody has reviewed that contract. The second clause was that anything they drill that's beneath 1,000 meters, that they will pay no royalty to Nigeria. As we speak now, most of those big oil companies, in fact all of them, they've sold all their onshore assets, sold marginal fields, sold shallow waters, and they moved deep sea. And they're drilling 2,000, 3,000 meters into the ground. Nigeria gets nothing for that. So even in that crude oil, we're sub-optimizing. When you hear 2 million barrels per day, what actually accrues to Nigeria cannot be more than 900,000 or 1 million barrels. Because we don't have the technology. We even are not putting in the capital in the PSC. We thought we were smart, but those guys are smarter than us. In fact, so we're getting almost next to nothing, even in the crude oil. That's why we're in this trouble. So a lot of what we're doing now is to borrow to look good. We borrow to look good, create a facade that, okay, everything is fine, create some illusion of
there's this argument that we've not gotten to the threshold that we can still borrow compared to other countries.
It's actually buncombe, actually, I'm sorry to say. That argument is actually buncombe, and it's still being used. It's one of what we call zombie economics, you know. And, you know, zombies are supposed to be dead and buried. But in Nigeria, you see the zombie economics moving all over the streets of Nigeria, in the corridors of power. Every time they want to call an economist, they call someone that's going to come and tell them the usual nonsense they want to hear. So the point is that no country, you don't pay your debts back with your GDP. What is GDP? GDP is the total value of goods and services produced in a country in a given year. You know, your work, your salary is part of the GDP. If China shows up today or any other country shows up today and say, Nigeria, pay me my debt, are they going to come to you and say, Tolu, give us part of your salary, we want to pay? No, you pay your GDP from your revenue. And we're saying that, you know, Nigeria's GDP to revenue is about 67%. Meaning that if Nigeria was a person and Nigeria earned 100,000 naira every month, 67,000 is used to pay debt. Is that a way to manage an economy? Let's look at the German approach. The Germans actually believe, and quite rightly so, that the government is only an agglomeration of all businesses and all individuals in an economy. It's just that scaling up. And that's why the Germans are so disciplined. And I think that we could do with a lot more discipline in our
now, almost finally, we're moving into an election year, and many believe that a lot of politicking will also affect development and growth. What do you think? Yes, because a lot of policies are on ground.
Tolu, let me say that, you know, I mean, listen, I mean, when you look at Nigeria's budget, there's very little in it for Nigerian people. It is supposed to be true that politics is meant to deflect the attention of government from policies, you know. But in fact, it may actually be the opposite in Nigeria. Well, right now is when you're hearing that they are collecting some money and then they are giving trader money and all of that stuff because they want to win votes. Perhaps that's the only thing Nigerians are going to get from them, but it's also calibrated to confuse them into voting for some particular people. You know what I mean? Before then, nobody cared. Before then, nobody cared. So if somebody was serious-minded in governance, that's when you will say, okay, now you may be actually politicking. But when someone has no plans at all, you know, and you can see that fact from the fact that there are usually no major projects for the people. We don't see that pro-people approach in government. You see a scenario where they have not even been able to curb their own excesses. It's still all about buying the big cars for themselves and traveling everywhere and all of that. That's what we see. We've even seen scenarios where we haven't lived by example. For example, someone gets sick, he travels abroad, you know, and then you say, how can you then expect the people of the country to toe the right path? So leadership by example is it, you know. But so hey, let us expect that at some point in time, you know, let the people get what it is that comes to them. Yeah. I don't believe that the politics will actually cause any serious changes, apart from the fact that some loose money will be spent for the people to confuse them. But again, a lot of that money will go into some individual pockets as well.
Let's leave it at that. CEO Global Analytics. Thanks so much looking at issues concerning the economy and also as we move towards an election year, what we should expect. Well, thank you again, presidential aspirant ANRP. Take care of yourself. Thank you for joining.